What is a bracket? Well, there's lots of brackets in code, so let's go in and take a look at some. Alrighty, first thing is that brackets always come in pairs, and there's all different types of brackets and they do different things. So here are some round brackets or parentheses, and you see how they're in pairs. Indeed, if I'm in Atom and I press there, I get a little blue line under each one showing me that those two are matching. That becomes important when you've got nested brackets within brackets, etc. So these brackets are holding what are called parameters for a function. So extra information, we can pass that into the function, and we'll deal with functions later. This one is also doing that, so holding 1, 2, 3 parameters, and there's the end of that bracket. A bunch of other ones here. And here is a function being declared, and we receive the parameters there. This is symbolizing, that's a squiggly bracket or braces, and that's symbolizing a block of code. So that one starts from here, right here, and goes all the way down. I can kind of tell from the indenting. Goes all the way down to here, where it goes back out again. So that's a block of code. In other words, when we run the function, it's all these statements right here. Those statements, whoop, right to there. All those statements will run. So you see how that's indented inside of those squiggly brackets? I like calling them squiggly brackets. Whee. Okay. And now let's see, here's another example. So this is a much more complex one where another function is happening, and inside that we have we're calling a function here that has round brackets, and this function has yet more round brackets, and then other squiggly brackets within squiggly brackets. So you see what I mean about the brackets? It can get a little bit tricky. But you get used to it after a while. Let's drop out of this then, and instead of showing you the complex things, we'll maybe make it easier by just showing you some examples here. So if we declare a function like that, it receives 2 round brackets, and we'll deal with functions later and tell you what they are, but 2 round brackets to start, and then a block of code, 2 squiggly brackets. When we do a conditional, if we say for something, 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 then do this block of code. You see how I've kind of cheated, and maybe I went too quickly. Let's slow that down a bit and take a look at those brackets. Okay, so here's a function, get some extra information to start, and then it has a block of code. But usually that block of code is on multiple lines so that we can do like a whole bunch of things. You don't have to, you could just do one thing. And same with the for. This is, oh, we haven't seen a for, sorry. Let me change that to an if. So if what's in the round brackets is true, we'll do what's in this block of code here. And that also can be on many. We could also say else. We'll do what's in that block of code, but we'll deal with conditionals later and see what that really means. But you see how those brackets match up. There's something we haven't seen yet, and that is a loop, which is for. So for something in here, and we'll deal with loops later, then do what's inside of here. And that will loop. If we loop 10 times in here, it does this block of code 10 times. Okay? So whatever code we put in there, it will do 10 times. And you see how all those match up? Isn't that nice? So that's pretty easy. Now, a couple that we haven't quite seen is there's something called an array, and arrays are square brackets. So 1, 2, 3, we'll see what those look like. And basically that's a list with 1, 2, 3 elements in it, and that's an array expression. We can also say something var a is equal to that, and a semicolon on the end. Now we have a statement. Here's the expression we're assigning to a. If we want to access something that's in that array, and we'll look at arrays later, then we might go zog, note my 2 round brackets there, and even add them as I go, oops, as I put 1 bracket, it puts in 2. So that's handy for it. If I go array at 0, these 2 round or square brackets right here, those 2 square brackets, this is the array, but these 2 square brackets are called the array access operator. So that's a way that we can find out what the 0 element of the array is. This would give us 1. Okay, arrays start counting at 0, but we'll see that later. That would give us 2. And confusingly, that would give us 3. Okay, so that's the array access operator. There's also what's called an object literal. This is an array literal because you can also make an array by asking for an array object. But we'll see that later. This is called an object literal, or you can just say, with that array it would be a new array, like that. And like I said, we'll see that later. And for an object, we would say, give me a new object. And we could get an object like that too. But it's easier and shorter to just use this thing called an object literal, in which we put some property, a colon with some value. So this is like a list. We'll go a comma, another property, property 2, colon, some value 2. And that's a lot of fun, but that's an object, and we'll deal with that in another what is, and that's an array, and we'll deal with that. So we get squiggly brackets in here too, which is a little bit unfortunate because this is different than a block of code. This is like doing a list, like these ones, but we use the squiggly brackets. So sometimes you have to recognize the difference between those. All right. And that is an object var O is equal to. So down below here, if we scroll down and pop in here, can we see any objects in here? I don't see any yet. Squiggle, squiggle, squiggle. I'm looking for squiggly. There's one. When we move, we pass in an object. So there's the property, and the value, a property, time, and its value, etc. And we keep on going. One of these properties has a function as a value, and the function has its own block of code which goes to here. That means this last bracket right here belongs to there. So you see how when I press there, those two join? Ooh boy, how about that? So this is the outer object that's holding a bunch of properties. One of those property values happens to be what's called a function literal, and we'll deal with that later. So in the end, it can be confusing to put in all of these brackets, but you certainly get used to it. It's not that bad. And think of a bracket as a box. Okay, so the stuff up here that we were looking at earlier where we simplified this with these, that's like a box. Okay, the function does what's in this box. The conditional, if it's true, will do what's in this box right here. All right, it's just we can't draw a box on the screen. So the way we do it is we put matching brackets, and that's a box. So for what's in this box, do what's in this box. Okay, this array is like a box filled with those numbers in order. This object right here is a bunch of properties in this box. So this object has a box of properties. Ooh. Okay, I'm inventor Dan Zen. Welcome to coding, and in particular coding at simjs.com. And we'll talk to you later. Ciao.